Hey, what's up guys, Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, first off, thank you so much for stopping by. What I do is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on the songs individually, rank the songs, and then of course give you my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. As you can see right there, today's artist is LP, one half of Run the Jewels. I did a video on Killer Mike, the other half of Run the Jewels, a couple weeks back, so make sure to go back into the backlog and check that video out. Just like I said in that Killer Mike video, I am familiar with LP by way of Run the Jewels. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know who Run the Jewels are. Killer Mike and LP's rap group. They've released 4 albums. They've been pretty popular over the last, I guess it's been over a decade now. But like Killer Mike a couple weeks ago, I had never dived into LP's solo work. So, here to remedy that today. And lucky me, it appears that LP has released exactly 4 albums, or at least 4 albums that are available on Spotify. Starting with 2002's Fantastic Damage, I checked out Deep Space 9mm. Okay, so this has way too long of an intro to start, so that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is the lyrics. I wouldn't say they're bad, but this certainly isn't LP's best work, based on what I've heard, which is basically the Run the Jewels albums. I'd probably rank this as pretty poor, and LP's stuff in Run the Jewels is my favorite, so it's not like there's a bias thing going on. But I guess if you put in the context of this was probably a debut album, I suppose it's pretty strong in that regard. Also pretty strong was the music of it all. The program beats were very ahead of their time, especially in the rap game. I don't recall hearing anything like this until the mid-2000s. Maybe I was just ignorant to it and it was happening in the underground prior. You guys let me know in the comments. Next up was LP's album I'll Sleep When You're Dead. I checked out track 1, Tasmanian Pain Coaster.
Standardized refrain, but also really real, man. Good to see you. Really, what the dilly deal?
Alright, so right off the bat, this is very spacey and cinematic. The beginning, which did once again go on too long, seems to be a theme here with LP. Could have easily been like a film score to like The Black Hole, or I guess Titan AE. This does have a feature on it. It's the main songwriters of the bands At the Drive-In and the Mars Volta, which same band. At the Drive-In was no longer a thing by this point, so it would have been the Mars Volta. Contrary to now, where it's the opposite. At the Drive-In is now a thing again, and the Mars Volta is not. I'm guessing that's where the spacey elements do come in. I recognize that the last track was called Deep Space 9mm, but it didn't feel as spacey despite the lyricism seeming to be about that. Cedric, the singer of both those bands, also has a vocal feature. I wouldn't say it's a big vocal feature or anything. It seems to be mostly background vocals until the very end of the song where he kind of has the vocals to play the song out. It was fine. It's not my preferred style of Cedric. I know he does that style quite a bit. But the best part of the song was the hook. The hook is superb with the This Is the Sound setup. Worked really well. I usually don't like repetition to make a hook. It's just kind of lazier to me. But LP does not repeat. He just repeats that beginning part and then he sets up a different ending. So with all that combined, it worked extremely well for me. Next up was the album Cancer for Cure, and I checked out the track The Full Retard. Disclaimer, I don't support the use of that word. However, it seems to be a play from Tropic Thunder, which I do support that movie because it's great. Okay, now this is the LP I know and love from the Run the Jewels time. Not surprising, this was his last album before the first Run the Jewel albums came out. The chorus is repetitive, no doubt, and there's a weird, I guess it's the bridge, spoken word part that kind of seems out of place. I did like the idea of it, kind of stopping the beat and slowing it down. Just the spoken word aspect didn't really work for me, but LP's verses on this are undeniably great. So, I'm willing to look past all that. And last and certainly not least, in 2020, it looks like LP worked on the soundtrack to the movie Capone, starring Tom Hardy. So I checked out the track. This is All That's Left. Okay, so this is just a straight up instrumental track. I clearly should have looked at the album artwork closer, where it said original film score for Capone, music by LP. Yeah, I don't like long instrumentals. I guess all I'll say is that the spacey cinematic stuff that I attributed to the Mars Volta earlier, probably wrong to do so. LP clearly has some film score chops as well. I will say I did enjoy the sounds that I got in this. I just, would not choose to listen to it. Alright, so those are the 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them. At number 1, we're going the full retard. This is just LP's top work that I have seen vocally and lyrically. So naturally, it gets to the top spot. That was a lot of Lees. I didn't mean for that. At number 2, Tasmanian Pain Coaster. I really did dig the sounds that they used in this. I do like At the Drive-In quite a bit. I've never really dug into the Mars Volta because it was just so different than what At the Drive-In was. So maybe I should go back and give them a try if they had a heavy hand in that, because I did really enjoy that aspect of it. But honestly, that hook was undeniable, and that's all LP. So kudos to him on that. At 3, Deep Space 9mm. Again, wasn't my favorite lyrically, but in the context of this being a debut album, I can appreciate it a lot more with that framing. And musically, this was doing a lot of cool stuff for 2002 that does seem a little stale in 2024, but knowing that this came out over 2 decades ago, it's very easy to look past. And finally at 4, this is All That's Left. I'm just not the type to listen to film scores on a regular. I enjoy them in the context of the movie where I have some pictures to look at, but this was never going to make my top, and had I have known it was a film score to start, I probably would have just checked out another track from one of these albums. Alright, so those were my thoughts on the songs. What are my overall thoughts on LP? Well, LP is still incredible at what he does. I'm glad we eventually got to the marrying of the sounds of his earlier stuff and the Run the Jewels stuff in the later track. But one thing that I didn't realize is how good he is at building a world with his lyrics. All of these tracks had some world building in it, and it was all his lyricism and flow that built that world and painted the picture for us. So that was unexpected. I don't really get that in the Run the Jewels music, so it was a nice surprise for me personally. Alright guys, that's it for me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. Please get in the comments, give me your thoughts on LP, give me your favorite Run the Jewels song, we can compare notes. Let's get this conversation going. And hey, while you're down there, please, please, please give me some suggestions of bands or artists I absolutely need to check out. I'm doing this every day of 2024, and December 31st is still a long ways away, so I need your help. Also, like I said, go back on some back episodes, check out what I've done in the past. I did one on Killer Mike. I did one on Doja Cat. I did one on Saul Williams, if you're into more hip-hop stuff. If you're into, rock, there's tons of that as well. I even did a country one, so there you have it. So you have lots to choose from. But if you don't want to go through all the back catalog, I get it. Just hopefully you'll stick around for the ride and leave me some suggestions so that you can see when I get to your suggestions what I have to say about those bands or artists. And the easiest way to stick around is if you simply cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.